Johns Hopkins University, January 3rd, 2024. Swarthmore College, January 4th. Wellesley, January 1st, 2024. This is your best chance to get into highly selective colleges because the delta between regular decision rate, early decision rate is so great. Hey, I'm Alyssa the College Expert. I've been helping students and families get into college since 2006. Today I'm going to talk about early decision 2, early decision 1 versus early decision 2, early decision versus early action generally, thinking through the financial aid that's associated, all that stuff. Before I begin, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to turn on notifications. So this is the question on so many people's minds. What is early decision? What is early action? What is ED2? What is ED1? If I got deferred from ED1, should I try and do ED2 somewhere else? What is binding? How does financial aid work? First, let's get some definitions out of the way. Early decision is when you apply to a school and you commit early and you say, I am definitely going to your school if you accept me. Early action is what we call non-binding. So that means that if you apply and they say yes, you don't have to say yes. Whereas early decision, if you apply and they say yes, you have to say yes, which implies that you can't apply early decision to a bunch of places, but I don't know what people are doing out there. Early decision is binding, early action is non-binding. How does financial aid work with both of those? Financial aid, and this is gonna be a sad answer, it's gonna be school by school. If you apply to a school that you know is gonna meet 100% of your need, and you know you're gonna need to get 100% of your need met, then you don't have to worry. You can apply to the school. The financial aid decision won't matter. Let's imagine that you do need financial aid, but you're not guaranteed to get it because you don't have an EFC of 0. A lot of schools, when you're applying, they don't give you the financial aid decision until March or April. So if you commit early, you commit blind and you say, okay, whatever the financial decision is, I'm okay with it. And yes, a school will let you back out later when they give you the financial aid decision. But let's imagine that you've applied to a school that doesn't meet 100% of need. Let's say you apply to Villanova. You apply early, they say yes, you say yes. Then you get the financial aid decision in April and you can't pay for it.
Oh no!
They'll let you back out, but now you haven't applied to any other schools. So what are you gonna do, right? For that reason, some people say you shouldn't apply early unless you can pay for everything and you don't need any financial aid. I generally counsel my students, if they know that they're gonna get 100% of their need met, that they also can apply early decision. How does early decision work? You send in your application early. You say, I really wanna go to this school. If the school says yes to you, then you don't apply anywhere else. Now, how do schools use that to manipulate the enrollment process? Basically, they know that anybody who applies early decision to them is gonna say yes. So they have what's called a yield rate, which is how many people say yes of how many people they apply, of close to 100%, let's say 95%. So they have a yield rate of 95% with early decision. Now, early action, because it's not binding, the yield rate is lower. So the yield rate for early action at a highly selective university, let's say a Yale, a Harvard, a Princeton, a Stanford, an MIT, those will give you a yield rate of maybe 80%. So still not necessarily as good as early decision, but not bad. From the college perspective, they really like early decision because they know that these people are locked in. So imagine that you're admitting a finite pool of, let's say, 1,000 students. If you can lock in 250 of them by November 15th, and you know that all of these early decision people are gonna say yes to you for sure, then you know a quarter of your class is already decided and you don't even have to worry about that quarter. How can schools use this to manipulate their selectivity in US News and World Report? So some colleges have manipulated their selectivity by increasing the number of students that they admit early decision because they know that their yield rate will be higher. So if you accept 25% of your class and they yield at 95 or 100%, your yield rate for the rest of the class can be lower and your total yield stays the same. Or now your yield rate for the rest of the class is whatever it was before, but now you have this 100% for 25% of your class that's driving your numbers up. Colleges have been looking at ways to use early decision and early action to manipulate their yields for some time, and a lot of them, that's how they played the US News and World Report game, because all of a sudden they became more selective because they're taking a lot more kids early. There's this legendary story of this one kid who applied to 13 schools early decision, and a bunch of college admissions officers started talking at a bar and they were talking about this kid. Another college admissions officer was like, hey, that kid applied early at my school. Another college admissions officer said, hey, that kid applied early at my school. By the end, they found 13 people who said, that kid applied early at my school. The kid didn't get in early anywhere. So one question to ask yourself is, when I apply early decision or early action, what are the people in the college admissions office saying about me? How do they think about me? If you apply early decision, the conversation sounds like, well, if she were to be a regular decision candidate, do we think we might admit her now? If we could admit her later, let's take her down with early decision. Because of the high yield prospects, they're willing to bend the bar and look at a lesser credential. So early action. The question is different because there's no commitment involved in early action. Do we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that with the regular processes, this would be one of our superstars? If it would be a superstar, then we'll take them on early action. So we're not bending on early action, but we are bending on early decision. We're lowering the bar with early decision. Early action, we are not. We're only admitting superstars. So some schools that have early action will say, okay, let's approach these kids who weren't willing to commit and offer them the opportunity to commit, and then we'll have them for sure. So they'll do this especially like if they see a superstar. And then they'll say, do you want to come early decision? Do you want to lock it in? And then they can further cultivate them. They can offer them more things, secure them as that high yield candidate. So now, what is ED2? What's early decision 2? I had never heard of early decision 2 until a couple of years ago, because when I applied, there was only one early decision, because I'm as old as a dinosaur, literally. The history behind ED2 is college admissions officers found candidates were popping up in their admissions pools early. And these were like very qualified candidates. And they were like, why are we getting this application in the middle of November? And so what they figured out is that these were people who had been rejected from other ED application rounds, and they were trying their luck at another school, often lower down on the selectivity pyramid. And so this college admissions officer that I know said, well, we're going to give them a little bit of love, take them as early decision candidates at our institution because we know that they're superstars and we know that they're definitely willing to commit. And so that's when they created ED2 basically to fill that hole. From the college admissions yield perspective, they doubled their early decision pool of a class by going to a round 2. So from their perspective, now they have a lot more high yield candidates. They have people that they know definitely are going to come. So now it makes sense to look at the acceptance rates for early decision and regular decision at highly selective universities. So let's take a second, pull those up for the Ivies, my favorites. So if we're looking at overall acceptance rates, basically the difference between early and regular is up to 5 times more likely to get in. I'm specifically looking at Dartmouth. Dartmouth, I'm looking at you, baby. So we're looking at a 4.5% acceptance rate regular and a 19% acceptance rate early. That is mind-blowing. Brown, 3.9% acceptance rate regular, 13% acceptance rate early. Yale, 3.2% acceptance rate regular, 10% acceptance rate early. These are crazy numbers. You are 4 times as likely to get in at Dartmouth if you apply early. Harvard is 2.6 to 7.6. That's crazy. 3 to 4 times. I don't even know what to do with that information except if you need help thinking about how to get into the Ivies or selectivity in general, check out my video, How to Get into Ivy League Colleges. Also, 50% off all college admissions counseling with my staff. So if you need help writing your essay, if you need help organizing your college admissions portfolio, 50% off, and that's for everything through the end of the year. Some of you may have heard of what's called a likely letter, which is a thing that I only heard of in the last year or two. I had a student who got a likely letter from Yale and Harvard. And I was like, what's a likely letter? So it's a letter that you get that says, we're likely to accept you if you keep doing all the things that you're doing. These are letters that go to regular decision candidates that basically say, we really like you. They're sent to students who are very compelling, very exciting. So a likely letter basically gets you off the market. Likely letters are a tool to get a greater guarantee of acceptance because you have to remember this sort of clash, there's these two competing things. So the students want to get accepted by as many places as possible, and the college wants to accept as few students as possible who all say yes, so they get to as close to 100 as possible. So we have these two kind of competing forces. So this is a question I get a lot from parents, that early decision is really affirmative action for wealthy kids because they're saying, hey, I can pay, so give me a better shot at it. And that some colleges are even using ED as a business decision to fill up to 50% of their class. Is that true? It depends on the selectivity of the institution. It depends on their particular priorities. There are institutions where, yes, that is absolutely true. Not at the most selective universities, because that's not what they're worried about. But at the universities where they're trying to figure out how to make ends meet and where they're worried about money, yes, it absolutely is. So if you are one of the families who can pay full freight, isn't worried about having the college meet any of your financial need, then yes, you definitely should apply early because the colleges are cherry picking you. They want somebody who can pay. They want somebody who's going to come. And early decision is a great idea for you. And if you're saying, I'm not sure which college is which and how to navigate that, what you really want to do is go to bigfuture.collegeboard.org. So the less need they meet, the less need that a college meets, the more interested they are in your finances. So if you are a family that can pay 100% and you want to be guaranteed admission, then apply early decision to a college that doesn't meet 100% of need and probably is meeting like 50 to 60% of need, because they need your money and they are interested in having you. They're much more willing to bend the bar, especially if your student applies early decision and is willing to commit. Okay, so let's talk about financial aid. I had some parents say to me, should I not apply ED2 if I need financial aid from the school, and should I only apply ED1? The answer again is it depends on the school. Some highly selective schools, it doesn't matter at all. They're going to give you the same amount of financial aid, ED1, ED2. The less selective the school, the more money matters to them, and selectivity and money mattering go hand in hand. Should it be that way? Probably not. Maybe should. I don't know, but it is. So basically, if you're trying to figure out how important finances are to the school, see where they're ranked on US News and World Report. If they're ranked as highly selective as the Ivies, like Stanford, like MIT, like Duke, like Emory, they're all going to meet 100% of need because they are highly selective, and so money doesn't matter to them, so you don't get any advantage by applying early and saying, I can pay full freight. If you're looking at a college that doesn't meet 100% of need and you want to apply early decision and you can pay full freight, you have a much better shot at getting in at that place, and your money will actually make a difference for you. So that's where it will be affirmative action for the wealthy. You might be wondering, okay, I understand what you're saying, Alyssa, sort of conceptually about US News and World Report. And further down US News and World Report I go, the more the colleges are interested in money and the more finances play a role in college decision making. Is there a way that I can find it out exactly? Yes. Go to bigfuture.collegeboard.org and look at what percentage of financial need they meet. The lower the percentage of need met, the more they will care about your money, and the more that your ability to pay will be a factor in accepting your student, especially early decision. The other thing that you can do is call and ask. What percentage of financial need do you meet? Do you give information about financial aid in ED1, ED2? They will answer all of those questions. It's also a good opportunity for you to demonstrate interest in a school. So if you call up and you want to identify yourself and ask all of these questions, that shows that you're interested in the school. Most likely will add you to some kind of tracker they have, and be like, oh, this child called. If you do that, you want to call with the student and parent should call together. Parent should be there because of the financial part of it. Student should be there so that the student is demonstrating interest in the school, all that stuff. I always suggest that you call and ask. They will give you an honest answer. They will give you a specific answer to their school. They will have the most updated information, and it's an opportunity to make a relationship. Today, we talked about early decision 1, early decision 2, early action, all the financial aid that's associated with it. Let me know what you liked and let me know what you still need to know. And tune in next time. I'm going to tell you more about the waitlist and exactly how it works and how colleges use it to control their yield, the selectivity that results in US News and World Report. Also, as you know, 2024, the digital SAT is coming. We've got lots of news about that. So see you next time.